La 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 la
I'm
la
Camille
la
WHO
la
Armstrong,
la
also
la
known as
la
the
la
Performing
la
Arts
la
Renaissance
la
Woman.
la
For
la
over
la
40
la
years,
la
I've lived and breathed creativity as a performer, educator, consultant, and coach. I've had the honor of guiding students, mentoring parents, and raising children of my own, all while building a life rooted in purpose, passion, and love. Whether I'm in a classroom, on a stage, or behind the scenes, my heart has always been for the next generation. And I believe it all begins at home with the people who raise them. This series is for you. Whether you're expecting, learning as you go, or parenting for the second or even third time around, I'm here to share the insights, tools, and real talk I've gathered over 4 decades of hands on experience. Welcome to Camille Who, the Child's Whisperer. I'm so glad you're here. I hope that what I share supports you, challenges you, and empowers you on your wild journey of parenting.
Camille Who here, reporting to you this evening, morning, afternoon, this day. All right, so today's topic is about training. Some people don't really want to use the term training when it comes to children. I think a lot of people tend to relate training to animals. And well, we are part of the animal kingdom, so I mean we're animals. And we all need training. Just as much as a pet needs to be trained, we humans need to be trained. And whether or not you want to admit it, your child is being trained. Anything that happens in their lives consistently is their training. The way that you talk to them, the way that you interact with them, the way that you do things with them, change their diapers, so all of that is training. This is routine. Routine is training. Now, you can either choose to train them well, or you could choose to not train them at all. In that case, that is bad training. Either way, you are training them. The benefits, the benefits of training, the importance and the benefits of training, of good training anyway, is consistency, it's order and security and structure and confidence. All of these are great benefits, right? You want your child to feel secure. You want them to feel confident. You want them to feel that, okay, things are consistent enough. When things are consistent, you predict what's happening. So things are you're just a lot more comfortable because you know that this happens next. You know that this is how we do things. It creates comfort. Um, we are all, no matter what you want to believe, we respond better to order than we respond to chaos. When you look at two different paintings and one looks like scribble and one has patterns, lines, or a face or something, you tend to gravitate, most of us tend to gravitate towards the picture that has order, the painting that has order. When you look at someone's yard that hasn't been tended to, and you look at someone's yard that is just this beautiful garden, what is the difference between them? It's order. So this beautiful garden is the one you're going to gravitate towards because there's something beautiful in order. There's something peaceful in order. There's that order that brings peace and comfort and balance to your household, to your child, and they become secure human beings. They become self-confident. They have a great grounding to stand on to approach life. That doesn't mean your kids are going to be super orderly. You have to teach them that too. That has to go in steps. Like, okay, we clean our room, or we clean our room twice a week, or and you do things in steps, but you have an order, you have a structure. Maybe you do this twice a week and I help you at first. After that, you know enough to do it yourself. Kids are going to be all over the place. Some kids are going to abide by that and just stay clean. I think most kids, they don't. And so they need to be taught that way and trained that way. And when they're trained that way, then their lives become that. Sometimes they're not as orderly at home, and then they go to school and their teacher is like, "You're so orderly." You go to parent teacher conference and the teacher's like, "Oh my goodness, and he's so neat and he's so organized." And you're like, "Is that my child? Are we talking about the same human?" So they may be disorderly at home and you have to stay on them, but when they go outside of the home, they carry it with them. And that means you're doing a good job. So if the teacher is saying that they are doing the thing that you want them to do at home and they're not doing it at home, you're doing a great job. It's totally normal. Oh my goodness. Good training fosters good manners. It fosters good sleep habits. It fosters respect for each other and respect for themselves. It fosters self-regulation. And it fosters, like I said before, self-confidence. Bad training, the complete opposite. Before I go there, I'm going to just share a little story about my children. When they were, at one time, I had 3 children very close together, like 13 months, no, 15 months, and then 2 years apart. And they had, goodness, they were about, my daughter was maybe 2 years old when I started making, maybe she was a year and a half when I started to make her clean up. At that time, Barney was on. I don't know, I'm totally dating myself, I know that, but Barney was on and he had a cleanup song. Whatever works, okay? You make it clean, you make it simple, and you do it every time and it's consistent. They know that it's time to do it, and then they just sort of they fall right into place with the schedule or with the structure. I trained my children to, before nap time and before going to bed at night, they clean up. I didn't ask them to clean up every single thing every time they played with something. But they knew that because I did this every day with them. All right, it's nap time, so let's get to cleaning. And then I would sing that, clean up, everybody, everywhere. Clean up, everybody do their share. Clean up. They don't have to do anything exact and perfect. You got a few bins, you put the toys in the bins, done and done. The bottom line is you are now clearing the space and starting afresh for when they wake up again and make the big mess that they make. But you are teaching them responsibility, and which responsibility goes such a long way, because then it makes it easier for their teachers. It makes it easier for their employers. It makes them easier for their employees when they start to own things and have businesses. Oh, then later on there was another show called The Big Comfy Couch, and this woman would say, hey, it was a clown called Luna. And she would sing this song. She would say, hey, who made this big mess? And the camera angle would just zoom in on her and she'd go, me? Mm-hmm. Well, guess we gotta clean it up. So get ready for the 10-second tidy. Dun, 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 dun. Literally, like the kids would just speed, and then everyone's just hurrying up. And of course, it's more than 10 seconds. But the point is that they were just excited to get ready to clean. Just seemed unheard of, okay? Another thing was I had my children when they went to a friend's house, and before they left the friend's house, they would have to help the friend clean the toys up because they helped make the mess. And that was another thing I would say to my children, it's okay to make a mess as long as you clean it up. You just have to know that that's what's going to have to happen. So I wouldn't say don't make a mess. It wasn't like that. It was just like, all right, it's okay to make a mess. You're just going to have to clean it up. That's all. And then, okay, now it's the time to clean up. And then we'd either saying, clean up, everybody, everywhere. And that you could start at age 1.5, honestly, really. And they'll start singing their version of that song. It is adorable. Anyway, so, okay, my kids were now, I don't know, 6 and 4 and 2 or 6 or something like that. Like 6 and 4 and 3, 6 and 5 and 3. And then went to my sister's house and spent some hours there. Maybe they spent a night or whatever. But I remember the next day, my sister saying, girl, what have you done to those children? And I was like, what? I don't understand. What do you mean? She's like, they were getting ready for bed. No, they were getting ready to leave. And I said, okay, now we have to clean up. And they started singing while they were cleaning up. What child does that? This guy. And hopefully your child does that. It's so simple and so fun. And you do it with them at first because you have to teach them, right? You're modeling this. So you have to teach them this. And you don't have to make it difficult. Just a couple bins, a few bins, maybe stack bins, whatever. But you're just clean up, everybody, everywhere. Clean up, everybody, do their share. And then it's all of a sudden they're like, clean up, and it's just adorable. And it's not a task anymore. It's just a fun thing that you do. And then it becomes an expectation. And then it becomes like, no, this is my standard. I can't have a chaotic environment. Right? So that's my story with my children with cleanup. They were also, all the other, I was a stickler for manners. I was a stickler for good behavior. I set standards from before I had children, and I knew I wanted to have many children. And I set standards long before I had children that, certain things were going to happen, certain things were not going to happen. They were not going to have tantrums outside in public. They were not going to have tantrums at home. If they did, it was going to happen one time and that was it. They're going to feel uncomfortable at that point, and that's not okay. And now I'm going to beat you for it. No, it was like, okay, now here's your consequences, because you need to know that you're not going to feel comfortable with that behavior, and you're definitely not going to get what you want with that behavior. That doesn't work in the world. Not in a good, happy, loving world. Okay. So certain behaviors, I already set the standard. That was not going to happen. So I educated myself. I modeled, right? I asked questions of people who modeled that kind of, that sort of standard for their children. And so my children had very good manners, and they had structure in their lives, and it really made my life as a parent so much easier. Holy moly. Really so much easier than it could have. And so, which makes me go to which brings me to my next point, bad training. Where bad training fosters inconsistency, confusion, bad sleep habits, tantrums, screaming, biting, hitting, low self-confidence, children who can't have no coping skills, children who are over dependent upon their parents' presence. Countless amount of parents have the naggy, pulley, naggy, I mean, like just whining child that's like, mom, mom, mom. And mom's trying to have a conversation with another adult. First of all, you don't walk in the room and see an adult talking to another adult and interrupt that. That's the school I grew up in. You don't walk in without waiting and saying, excuse me. Or if you see two adults, first of all, it might be adult conversation. So you might want to step back out if it's not an emergency. Okay. And you wait until that conversation's over. Or, you wait until that moment where you can step in and say, excuse me. But I have seen countless amount of parents who have that child and parents trying to have a conversation with another adult and they're mom, 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 look, can I have this cookie? Can I have a cookie? I want a cookie. I want a cookie. Put this. Oh God. And then you see the parent and they're going, oh, she's such a pain. Honey, it's your fault. You trained her that way. You didn't teach her the manners that say when two adults are in the room, you didn't stop her. You never stopped this child and said, honey, do you see two adults in the room? Okay, well then you need to wait until we're done talking. Or if it's not an if it's not an emergency, you need to wait until we're done talking. At that point, your child is going to feel a little uncomfortable, but they're going to associate that little bit of uncomfortableness with interrupting their parent, while they're talking to another adult. And so they'll think twice about interrupting their parent while they're talking to an adult. Now, granted, you set it for them and you say, if it's an emergency, are you bleeding? Are you, are you hurt? Is there something like that? Is the house on fire? No? Okay. Well, then two adults are talking right now. But not only that, then there's the whining and it just carries on and the parents just, like, oh gosh, it's such a pain. Well, of course it's a pain because you haven't done anything about it. You haven't trained them to know better. It's going to be a pain. If you train them to know better and do better, then you make your life easier and it's not a pain. There's some things that's going to be a pain that's out of your control, but those things don't have to be a pain. And then they can't cope. You can't leave the room without them needing you. 4 years old, 5 years old, you should be now, I don't know, have kind of being able to fold your clothes and put them in your drawers. Even if it's not the right drawers. Here's all the shirts and here's all the pants. 2 drawers, right? You fold them up, and if you fold them up, and I'll help you put them away. Bottom line is, kids who cannot cope, they're like, Mom, I can't do it. I can't do it. And they whine and they cry and they get upset about it. And mom can't leave them and dad can't leave them for like 5 minutes to do what they are supposed to be doing anyway. And those parents come in and they do it for their child. And yet again, you have trained your child to depend on you and not be able to be self-sufficient and not be able to develop the skills that they need to survive in life and to do well in life. That is all I have to say about training. No training is bad training. Good training, it just takes some knowledge and some steps and consistency. And you have to set your standard. You have to know that I want the child that's going to have good manners. I want the child that's going to be respectful. I want the child that's going to at least respect rules. I want the child my child to be a listening child, someone who just respects authority. I want my child to know structure. We can go out of the structure once in a while, or every couple, whatever, it happens. But the fact that you have those standards set up and you have the knowledge, then you can apply that knowledge. That's called wisdom. You apply that, and you are now taking that whole screaming, biting, tantrumy, confused, inconsistent child, the hitting, I mean the oh gosh, the no coping skill child. You're taking that out of the equation. You're taking the oh, he's a pain. Oh, she's a pain. You're taking that out of the equation. You're making your life a little bit easier by implementing positive boundaries, standards, good training. I'm Camille WHO, and I am out.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Camille WHO, the Child Whisperer. A heartfelt thank you to the generous supporters of the Books and Beyond campaign. This series wouldn't be possible without you. If you're a new or expecting parent, I created Better Parent, Better Future just for you. I empower first-time parents to embrace a positive mindset and navigate those early parenting years with confidence and joy. Click the link in the description to learn more or to find out how we can work together. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and keep leading with love.